I don't have the coloring sheet right now. Hold on. Oh, wow, you are. I don't know what's going on. My camera. 1 second. Oh, wow, you are. I don't know what's going on. Okay, there we go. All right, so now we can get into our reading. Let me. So I'm so glad that I was able to do the sound check because I was on mute again. So we are going to go ahead and continue our reading of How to Eat to Live. Today we are reading chapter 26 through 28 by Elijah Muhammad. Of course, we are going to do the reading first, and then we'll get into the commentary portion of the reading because I know and understand everybody ain't trying to hear what I got to say. But if you are someone that's interested in getting notified when I do go live to do our readings, go ahead and text READ to 424-306-0585, and you'll get notified when I do come live. I also want you all to, if you're already on my text list, I sent you a text. Please reply to the text. What time is the best and most convenient for you all for me to do the read alongs? I'm trying to see. I was thinking about doing it maybe earlier in the morning, but y'all know my children have, walaikum salam, sir. My children have school at 6 a.m. So if I were to do it early in the morning, it would be like at 4 or 4:30 Pacific Standard Time. So that'll be like 6 on the Central and 7 on the Eastern. But y'all let me know. Text me back, okay? So now we're going to go ahead and get into the reading. Chapter 26. Know the truth about the flesh of the swine. In an earlier chapter of this book, I told you how Allah taught me about the birth of the swine, and that animal was made only for the whites. Because theirs is a grafted race, they were made weaker physically through the man from whom they came, the black man. Since the body of the grafted is weaker than the original body, it would be easier for them to attract germs than the original man. You should not argue with me about this because all of the diseases that trouble us today, from social diseases to cancer, came from the white race, one way or the other. Do not tell me about 400 or 500 years or 1,000 years. I am referring to this people's entire historical scope. They have had 6,000 years to mix with and poison our people. Some of you are foolish enough to accept all the blame, but God clears you of it. This refers to those who love the devils so much that they would like to dispute God about them. I am only teaching you the truth. Take it or leave it. They are too wise to dispute the truth. Read the story in the Bible in which Jesus met a man who was possessed of evil spirits. When the evil spirits recognized Jesus to be from God, knowing they would have no chance to contend with him over their presence in the man where they did not belong, they pleaded with Jesus to let them go into the swine, and Jesus agreed. The man who was possessed of evil spirits was none other than the American so-called Negro. The evil spirits in him are from the white race, who made him eat the divinely prohibited flesh of the swine. The devils were allowed to go into the swine. They ran down a steep place into a lake or sea and perished. Here, the picture changes, the meaning changes a bit. The hog was made for the white race for medical purposes, not even for them to eat. But they could eat it if they wanted to, since they were created to be destroyed. They use this hog in much, thank you, baby. They use this hog in much of their medical preparation, even in the German 606 poisonous germs. Allah taught me that one of these germs came from the swine. However, the white man will advise you to eat it. He would have you think the swine is clearer now than he was in Jesus' time. But wouldn't God know 4,000 years from Moses if this swine would be clear of poison? You admit God is a foreknower. The whole story was twisted around. They want you to think God did not know about this process of the devils leaving the man and entering the swine until after it happened. Actually, God knew it was going to happen before it took place. Using deceit, they have succeeded in getting you to eat the swine as food, though it was made to produce a poisonous germ for medical purposes in curing the diseases of the white race. It's on the toolbox in the garage. This is how he makes you break all of the commandments of God. Because he is God's enemy and yours and mine, he has you break the divine law. We did this because we saw him doing it and at that time had no teacher of our own. These are the tricks of your hidden enemies in their own concocted religion called Christianity, which is deceiving and leading you to your doom with them. I am your brother, and Allah has revealed to me the truth of your salvation. Jesus also prophesied that the truth would free you. That is, if you accept the truth. The thing you must understand in this parable of Jesus is that actually the visible swine could not have gone crazy and choked in the sea or lake because the spirits of the devil were sent in them. The true meaning that you should understand is the swine that was choked to death in the sea after the spirit of the devil was taken out of the man represents the believers among the so-called American Negroes, and the swine that ran into the lake and perished represents the disbelievers among the so-called American Negroes who refuse to accept the truth. They are so obsessed with the evil doings of the devil, they will not accept their own salvation and will be choked into hellfire with the devils. As you have in the Bible, Lucifer Jacob's fall also represents the fall of his race. The lake or sea in which they choked and perished in the same lake mentioned in the Revelation of John, that all that beast and the false prophets, priests, and preachers of Christianity referred to as being cast alike in a lake of fire. I hope you understand. What I'm trying to get over is that you who reject Allah and his true religion, entire submission to his will, as the Arabics call it, Islam, will perish in the lake of fire with this race of adversaries of Allah and his true religion to which they refuse to submit. They now are trying to woo you into sharing a hellfire with them, though they know that you have a chance to go to heaven while they do not. I cannot force you to halt. They now are trying to woo you into sharing hellfire with them, though they know that you have a chance to go to heaven while they do not. I cannot force you to halt your downhill plunge with them into the lake of fire. I have been missioned only to warn you in the simplest language. I cannot force you to go to hell or heaven. Your sweethearting and wanting to marry them is like a frog trying to court a rattlesnake. The rattlesnake gives the frog freedom to do so because he intends to swallow the frog. Talking, taking the death dealing pill and the knife to destroy your future generations are examples. Socializing with them is no sign of justice, but a sign that they have deceived you into going to hell with them. Take it or leave it. Chapter 27. Live 1,000 years. In the past, our appetite was our God. We ate as many times a day as we could find an appetite to. We worshipped our appetite as though it was our God. This shortens our lives. Some of us have never gone a day without eating, unless we were sick and the doctor stopped us until his drugs could aid in killing the germs that eating 3 or 4 meals a day had caused. We think we cannot miss a meal unless we are unable to buy the next meal. So we wear out our stomachs and could possible live 1,000 years if cared for and protected from the enemies that will shorten and destroy our lives. We can soon get accustomed to eating 1 meal a day and nothing between meals. After getting used to eating once a day, we can get used to eating once every 2 days. Our stomachs will not ask us for food except at the time that we make a habit of putting food in them. Surely 1 meal a day and eating the right kind of food at that meal will do away with stomach sickness and add many years to our lives. Try it for yourself. Do not eat everything you see the Christians eat. That is why they have so many hospitals and must produce so many doctors every year. Eat to live and not to die, because how you eat does both. It keeps you here and it takes you away. Do not fill up your stomach with sweets. Keep away from greasy foods. Allah God has brought us this knowledge in the person of Master Fraud Muhammad. Believe in him and obey and follow his teachings, and you will always be happy. Chapter 28. Train yourself to eat as Allah has advised. To keep healthy and strong and live a long time on this old earth, Allah said to me in the person of Master Fraud Muhammad, eat 1 meal every 2 or 3 days. Do not be frightened, brothers and sisters, that with your meal hours being lengthened, you may die and become too hungry. You will live and you will not be hungry after you have gotten your stomach used to the long intervals between meals. Your stomach will take food only when you give it food, and it won't ask you for any food until that certain hour to which you have accustomed it to being fed. I used to think like you before the coming of our God and Savior in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, to whom praise is due forever. I began practicing eating one meal every day with no food between. I got used to that within a couple of weeks, and after a certain length of time, I tried eating once every 2 days with nothing between. I did not try to pour all of the cream and sugar out of the cream and sugar goals into the coffee. I sweetened and creamed it as I had done when I was eating 3 meals a day, because we can live on cream and sugar for a long time. But it is not good that we do this through our coffee. For our health's sake, I felt better eating one meal every 2 days or 48 hours with nothing between. I also tried eating one meal every 72 hours, as he had told me that if I ate one meal every 3 days, I would never be sick. And I thought I would try it before teaching it. So I did for a few months, and I felt better than I felt when I was eating one meal every 48 hours. And I can bear witness that I did not have the symptoms of illness at any time. My whole body felt light and my head was clear. I could almost hear insects crawling. It is not so much what you eat when you begin eating one meal every day or every 2 or 3 days. It is just that you do not eat foods that are against your health. I have described in this book time and again that which he pointed out to me. But most poor people like us eat the inexpensive food because we do not have the money to buy expensive foods that rich millionaires eat. So he prescribed for us dry navy beans and bread and milk. There are some people asking about eating sardines. They are for us to eat only if we are traveling and cannot get other foods. But please do not buy them unless they are fresh when you can clean them, and not those that are packed already. There are some packed that are clean, but they are a little expensive. They are called Portuguese sardines. There are other herbs that you can eat that are not mentioned here in this book. But please, whenever you decide on eating something that is not mentioned in this book, write me, because there are some on the market that are not good for you and me. And that is the conclusion of our reading on today. We read chapters 27, 20, 26, 27, and 28 for our book reading today. And I'm telling y'all now that the commentary on this part is going to be rather short. Okay. I think that, and I've said this before, just a reiteration that this is not about something that's just being told to us. And it's not something that we are being told to do X, Y, and Z. It's an experience, something that he was able to experience. And so he's giving real live feedback from something that he knows works. It's not like he read it, he was told something, and he's just telling us that that's what we should do. He also had the experience of himself to know that, hey, when I was doing this, I felt the best. The fact that he was saying that when I was going 72 hours without eating food, I felt so enlightened. My whole body felt light and my head was clear. I could almost hear insects crawling. Smile. When we think about the food that we eat, which sometimes we don't eat the best of food, especially if we're eating out, how many poisons and that different type of stuff is inside of those foods, right? How much bacteria and all that different kind of stuff is in the food. So imagine going 3 full days without eating any of that food outside of drinking water, coffee, and tea. That means that your body has no poisons going in, no bacteria, none of the pesticides that they put on that stuff to clean it or to grow it and all of that stuff. Imagine what your body could do if it did not have to use energy to fight those different bacteria that's coming into your body. And imagine how good your body would feel if it did not have to use energy to digest your food, right? It sharpens your mind, it sharpens your spirit, right? It allows you to get more done. Because one thing that you immediately know once you start fasting is that it really we spend a lot of time eating. We spend so much time eating. And as soon as you stop eating so much and you start fasting, you'll be like, dang, what do I do with all of this extra time? So it is no wonder that, we have, when we go an extended amount of time fasting, we're on that level because now we've opened our mind to not be, held hostage by our food. We're not sluggish, we're sharper, and we've gotten so much time back. The other thing I wanted to kind of talk about was some of us have never gone a day without eating unless we were sick and the doctor stopped us until his drugs could aid in killing the germs that eating 3 or 4 times a day has caused. That is so true. For some of us, the only time that we have actually fasted was if we had to go get blood drawn, if we had to go to the hospital to do some type of surgery, if we had to, even delivery, right? When we think about labor and delivery, whether you're doing a vaginal birth or a C-section, they always tell you do not eat. And it was something that Taylor, who is an awesome doula, by the way, if you have an expecting mother or if you are an expecting mother, she's an awesome doula. Taylor Made Natural is her name on Instagram. Something that she brought to my attention that was so mind opening was that when you go into the hospital and your mother that's in labor or you're about to have your baby, they always stop you from being able to eat, whether you're going in for a natural birth or, excuse me, or you're going in for a C-section. And she was saying that that is literally preparation for surgery because you don't have to not eat if you are planning to have a natural birth, but you do have to not eat if there is an expectation of that you're going to go into surgery because they don't want food in your stomach when you're going into surgery, so they want you to fast. And so we have to think about that type of stuff. How good does our body feel, or why do we have to, especially when it's blood drawn, why are we expected to fast before going to get blood drawn? Because they want to see the purity of your blood. And the only way for them to see that is if you're fasting, not taking in food that will otherwise affect the reading that they get. So I thought that was interesting when he was saying that because that's so true. Many of us have never, like before I joined the nation, I never even knew about fasting. And when I'm talking about, I've heard it about in the Christian sense when like people fast for, I forgot what it's called, but like Lent, they fast from something. But I've never heard of fasting from food until I joined the Nation of Islam. And so that's amazing. That's mind blowing to me, especially since it's so beneficial for your health. It's so beneficial for your mind, your body, and so to think that many of us have gone our whole entire life without abstaining from food, without fasting, without, you know what I mean, going through that journey is crazy. Our stomachs will, and then there's a further reiteration of our stomachs will not ask for food except at the time we make a habit of putting food into them, right? So we talk about, I can't fast because I'm always hungry, I'm starving, all of this different type of stuff. But the reality is, it's that way because we made it that way. Our stomach just didn't automatically just didn't come out. Well, maybe out the womb we was hungry a lot of time, but that was breast milk. But our stomachs is not just choosing food all the time. It's on a time clock. And the time clock was something that we put it on. We gave it the expectation to expect breakfast in the morning. So we get up hungry. We gave it the expectation to expect lunch at noon to 3 o'clock. We gave it the expectation. So at that time we get hungry. We gave it the expectation to want dinner between 5 and 7. So at that time period, it gets hungry. We give it that expectation to get snacks all in between. So if we started to be more mindful about the expectations that we're setting for our stomach, then our bodies will start to adhere to that more. Like for me, I noticed that was a really big thing because I used to be a really big breakfast eater. You know what I mean? Within the first couple of hours of the day, I was getting up and I was eating breakfast. It was just like the way that you started the day. However, once I started, and I wouldn't say that I started even eating one meal a day, but once I started to commit to be more focused and eat later on in the day, I don't get hungry in the day. Like when I'm fasting, it's like around 1 o'clock is when I really start getting hungry, when it really start getting hard. But like even with cooking the children's breakfast in the morning, I don't really get hungry because I don't really eat at that time anyway. But when you're always eating, of course you're going to feel hungry. So we have to be mindful. We have to decide what we're going to do and stick to that thing and always eat at the same time. So for me, it is Ramadan has been really good because I'm literally training my stomach. Like every night I'm eating at about 7:10-ish because that's when the sun goes down. So I pop my date, I get me a little orange, and then I have my dinner for the night, which of course will have to change once Ramadan is over because we're supposed to eat between 4 and 6. However, I'm literally getting used to the idea of eating every single day at the same time, to the point where, like, even right now, it's about 2 o'clock. I've had thoughts of eating, but I haven't been hungry, if that makes sense. Like, I've saw something that looked really delicious, but my body is not really hungry. And so I've just been keeping more mindful of that. But we have to be mindful of what we want our eating habits to be like, and then sacrifice to get there. Like, of course, you're going to have to go through the hunger pains because your body's got to get used to it, but it's going to be so much more worth it in the end. And then you will live, you will not be hungry. And then he said that I got used to eating one meal every day within a couple of weeks. So what we will do is we will start, after 3 or 4 days, if our stomach ain't in alignment, then all of a sudden we like, oh, well, I'll try this another time. But it's going to take weeks. Particularly here, he said it took a couple of weeks. So if you are not at least trying it for 2 to 3 weeks, then you didn't really give it a full try. You didn't even give it a chance for your stomach to set in. You didn't even give your stomach a chance to adjust, right? We can't do the quick fix stuff when it comes to our health, when it comes to eating properly, when it comes to eating to live. We have to do it long term. We have to do it over a period of time. And that's something that, we all have to learn, but we have to stop saying that we gave it a try if we really didn't. If the outline is saying that it'll take 2 or 3 weeks to set in, and you didn't even make it to 2 or 3 weeks, that's not giving it a try. I don't even eat sardines, so that part that wasn't speaking to me. But I thought it was interesting about the fact that, one, we're not supposed to eat them if they already can, and then two, that they even have a brand of sardines that come clean. But that is going to be the end of my commentary for today. I really enjoyed this, as I have been enjoying the rest of the chapters, especially just that reiteration of, making sure that you're spending the appropriate amount of time of fasting, that you're training your stomach, and that you're being conscious that you are eating to live. So I appreciate you all for coming out. For those of you on Instagram, know that this will be up for 12 hours, and then I will be taking it down, and the replay will live on YouTube. So please, if you would like to get notified and get the link to the YouTube, text READ to 424-306-0585. That is READ to 424-306-0585. For those of you over here on YouTube, please go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to turn on your bell notification so that you can get notified when I go live, okay? Or just text READ to 424-306-0585 and you'll get notified. So I appreciate you all, and I will see you on the next book reading tomorrow. Peace.